Hello, and welcome to the virtual summit powered by Pearl and the National Foreign Language Center. My name is Ghazal Dabiri, and I am a second language acquisition specialist at the NFLC. Last year, I developed Persian lessons based on authentic materials for the NFLC's new language learning app, Lectia. This presentation is about grammar and context, creating linguistic activities based on authentic content for beginners. Before we begin, I'd like to draw your attention to the other videos in the series. I highly recommend them since they tie into our current topic. They are how to select authentic content for language learning, how to determine the level of authentic passages for classroom use, and Lectia, a language learning app for the real world. I would also like to draw your attention to the fact that Lectia is a commercial-free app that is free to download on the Apple App Store and Google Play. As we begin, let's review the benefits of using scripted passages, either what we find in textbooks or what we write up. We can introduce new grammar topics in a focused way, reinforce learned topics while teaching new ones, practice mastering complex structures in piecemeal. In essence, we are creating a controlled environment for beginners so that they are not overwhelmed and discontinue their studies. Using authentic passages can offer us the exact same benefits as scripted passages, meaning we can similarly create a controlled environment, except we can offer learners the added benefit of exposure to the language as it is used by native speakers in authentic situations. It is important to incorporate authentic texts into our teaching materials since they will help students reach their goals. We know that learners have a variety of overlapping professional and personal reasons for learning a new language, in addition to general interest. They want to foster relationships with native speakers, develop professional contacts, develop survival skills if they want to temporarily relocate for professional or personal reasons, or they may wish to gain near native proficiency when relocating permanently or semi-permanently. So you've decided to supplement your teaching with authentic texts, and you've got your passage. You've selected it carefully for level, structure, content, and vocabulary. You've then introduced the exciting new vocabulary and asked about the content or the main idea of the passage to orient learners. So now what? The question we are going to ask is, how do you target the structure of the language, the building blocks? In essence, how do you target grammar to develop into activities? For instance, I picked a video about a restaurant that is offering a discount on certain platters. It's an announcement type of passage, which is perfect for a beginner looking to develop in-country survival skills. To begin, return to your passage. Scan for the grammar. Identify the grammar that is at level, at the cusp of the next level, or above level. Then, target at-level grammar for development. Let's return to our passage for a moment to scan it. What does it mean to target at-level grammar? This passage is particularly vocabulary rich, so one topic to pick for development for a true beginner is nouns and contexts. Now that I've identified that I want to work with nouns, I try to capitalize on what the authentic text has to offer. For beginner levels, I find that one of the best uses of authentic materials is to reinforce at-level grammar that learners have already learned, but that allows me to introduce something new or interesting, including challenging variations. An excellent use of authentic listening and video passages is introducing or reinforcing common colloquial variations. Here is an example that focuses on nouns. The activity type is multiple choice. The grammar point is counting objects. And here the sentence is translated as, today our restaurant will offer a discount, 3 skewers of chicken and 2 skewers of kebab for 194 tomans. With this one activity, I can cover 3 linguistic points, making sure to target as many gaps in a beginner's knowledge bank as possible. And here's a special note. When creating activities, recycle words from the passage to make new sentences. Make sure the grammar point in the activity sentence matches what is in the source. The first point the activity covers, in other words, the function of the activity, is reinforcing a basic concept, counting objects. Here, I've highlighted the most important point specific to Persian, which is that nouns stay in the absolute state no matter how many there are. The 2 other points are supplementary information explaining what learners saw in sentences from the passage. Point 2 is orthographic and is also a reinforcement point. Point 3 may be an introduction to a topic that learners may not have seen before in their studies, and it's a way to challenge them. It's about a counting word for which there is no equivalent in English. Authentic passages offer the opportunity to explore different facets of a grammar point, some more challenging than others in ways that scripted texts may not. So what to do in the classroom? In the classroom, you can ask students to view the grammar and context, review the grammar points with different examples, and you can ask students to practice with their classmates in groups of 2 or more. Here we have a lesson for a slightly more advanced beginner. The topic is Art Exhibition Opening. It's a reading passage and again an announcement type, which is ideal for beginners. This announcement contains actionable information: who, what, where, when. This particular lesson then offers great opportunities to explore verbs and prepositions. Here is an example that looks at the use of a common preposition. The activity type is true-false. It examines how well students know the function of the Persian preposition as, which functions in similar ways to both of and from in English. This activity reinforces a common use of the preposition. It is equivalent to the English preposition from when it refers to the starting point of a time frame, as in from 6 to 8 p.m. or from May to October. The announcement, however, also offers a common yet challenging use of the preposition for beginners, as they may not have seen it before. Here you can see the note reinforcing the common use of the preposition as to denote a frame of time. In this slide, you can see that we're taking on the more challenging use of as when it means of. Learners may not have seen the preposition used in this particular way, though it is quite common. To get students acculturated to announcements of this type, both functions of the preposition are necessary to know. Our last example is for students who are almost at true intermediate level. It is a listening passage that focuses on a special holiday program. Like our other examples, it is an announcement. This passage is focused on activities that will take place during the program. Therefore, an activity focused on verbs will be ideal here. I picked the subjunctive for this activity because it is ubiquitous in Persian and much more extensive in usage than in English. Learners need to know how to grapple with the mismatch that occurs between English and Persian. But since this is still for beginners, however advanced they may be, we reinforce the basic structure and most common usage. Then we can help our learners with a more challenging aspect that has popped up in this authentic passage. For this lesson, I picked another true-false activity. For this one, I'm examining a learner's knowledge base here, rather than testing them on the more challenging aspect. All a student would need to know to answer the question correctly is the difference between commands or requests and the subjunctive. As you can see, point 1 reiterates the basic structural feature of the subjunctive. Point 2 discusses common usages of the subjunctive, usages similar to what is seen in English to help ground learners. Point 3 discusses the challenge, how the subjunctive is also used for assumptions and expectations in Persian. For point 3, I provided the details about how to use this common verb, but one that is a challenge for beginners. which requires a more idiomatic translation than most of the verbs they've typically seen up to this point. These are just some practical examples to illustrate how to take advantage of authentic texts even for beginners. Just to review what we've covered here, after you've selected your passage for level and scanned it for grammar points, assess each for level. Select at-level grammar for activities, especially those that have a little extra something to offer to expose students to as much variety as possible, but without overwhelming them. At level is also great for knowledge checks and reviews. One final note, you do have options for grammar that is above level. For those grammar points that are at the cusp, you can use them to introduce new concepts or for guided discovery. You can help more advanced students identify aspects they recognize to prepare them for their future studies. If the grammar points are well above level, you can safely ignore or ask students to memorize them as fixed expressions for the time being. Thank you for being a part of the 2022 NFLC Virtual Summit powered by Pearl. Don't forget to check out the Lectia app and the other presentations in this series.